You guys have received a lot of criticism.
Last year was interesting for us, for my team especially. Yeah. We realized last year that not so many people like us. I mean, in the comments, in the posts, and all that. We approached that brand identity very aggressively. You know, when it was put out, it had mixed feelings, man.
Yeah,
it had so many mixed feelings.
Especially the one for the mermaid.
For the mermaid,
yeah.
Somebody asked in the comment section why the box was not wet. One thing that I've had as a designer is we are not just creating artwork, we're creating conversation pieces. We are creating things that people should talk about. And because people were talking about our artwork first, we were like, this is it.
This is good.
Right? And that's what marketing is. Like, look, people should talk about you. Of course, there's negative, positive, but like it's worse when you're not even a subject. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst.
This is called Duwit. Here we don't just talk. So we're going to put some of your knowledge to the test. We're going to do it practically. For the project breakdown, we're going to go the step-by-step process. Like how do you approach designing minimal and creating visuals? Before you approach any design, what's your thought process like?
My first approach is a mind map. So the first thing is I do a mind map, right? I'll give you an example of Africa Must Think first. That will help people understand. Honestly, your clients don't care like how good you are at Photoshop or Illustrator. What they care about is, I've asked for this, have you given it to me? Our CEO, he's a brilliant man. He says it's easy to get Zambians talking. And then, these are trade secrets. If you want Zambians to talk about your work, do it.
Quick one, before we go any further, please remember to like and to subscribe and to share. And I promise to bring you the best and most valuable content.
Good.
Okay, we're doing the intro again.
Yeah, sure.
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good to have you here.
Great to be here. Excited to be here. We always just watch you on YouTube, but it's great to be here, guys.
In the space.
In the space. I really love this room, man. Everything you're doing, I love it.
Thank you so much, man.
Cheers.
I appreciate that. Yeah, though it's raining and we keep on stopping. Hope this one goes through. Yeah. But anyway, I've really been inspired by your work as well. I came across your work. I think that was around 2020, somewhere there.
Yeah.
When I was just also like starting out in this space, in the creative field.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy is like your designs are very clean. Like the typography, the way you choose your backgrounds and texture, like it's very clean. And I realized that, damn, this guy is really inspiring. And
thanks, man.
Look at your designs. I'm just like, even like your photography as well is top notch, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say my designs are clean. I actually never thought my designs were clean. I thought, especially because of manipulations, I thought they're all over the place. But yeah, I came across you. I don't know what year that was, but maybe around 2020. But I found you on Behance, and there was a specific poster that you made for Apple Max. I love that poster. I will never forget. And for me, that visual communication had everything a design should have, right? And I wasn't used to seeing very good Zambian designers and designs, because I was also kind of like, because 2020, 2021 was when I was breaking into the design scene. Yeah, and I was like, okay, let's keep an eye on this guy. Then comes, your work with Bongo Hive, and then the Lupia one. That rebrand was, it hit the spot.
Yeah,
that's like, how did he do A, B, C, D? And from there, we've been following your work closely. To the YouTubes, we're always just watching them. We're up to date.
For real?
We're up to date, man.
Yeah.
But again, excited to be here. Excited for this conversation. Because a lot has happened.
Yeah, a lot has happened. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are excited to watch this. And yeah, there's a lot that has been happening with your team. Yeah, and the team is in the background, all branded. Yeah, so I'm excited to have this conversation. Yeah, but anyway, before you get into all those interesting details and what's been happening and the stuff that you do, like everybody has a story. I like going back to where somebody started from, because where you start from also like kind of like contributes to where you are today.
Agreed.
And the person that you are today. So how was Aggrey like growing up? What were you interested in?
I didn't grow up in Z. A few people know this, a lot of people don't. I grew up in Botswana. and I did a lot of my primary school there. Yeah, and growing up in a foreign land for me and my brothers was very interesting because we were always in the house. Yeah, we were in the house, go to school, come back, go to church, come back. And that was our lives basically. And knowing that you're in the house every time, you need ways to entertain yourself. A lot of cartoons, man. We watched too much anime. We watched everything, and we played a lot of video games. And that was literally me growing up. Video games, cartoons, and just bossing it at school. Like we were A+ students, like, you know, because we didn't have any other life. You didn't catch us on a Saturday playing soccer outside. No. No. Like that never happened. On Saturday we were at church learning instruments. And so became very musical. I can play piano, drums, guitar. At some point I could sing. Yeah, but not anymore. I don't know what happened, but I was just like, this is not for me. Yeah, and so I've always had that expressive nature, and that was in my video games. I started drawing at a young age to kill time because we were bored. Right? There's no power. What are you doing? So you draw. Yeah. Then piano, guitar, all those expressive things. That was me growing up, which has bled into design.
Design. Yeah. Okay. So like, well, your parents were like okay with that, like mom and dad. Like, what did they do? Were they also like in the creative field?
Oh, so my dad's a pastor. My mom was also very into church. So,
okay.
So creative field. My dad was a praise and worship leader at some point. So he was a big influence in me learning the instruments, and even my brothers taking it up. My dad is also a tailor, so he's good with designs and everything. I think that's where we inherited that artistic side. Yeah, and we would always look at his designs and how did you come up with this? How did you come up with that? Because we would see him draw his garments before actually making them, and for us that was inspiring. Like it was like, a lot goes in. You don't just start cutting stuff, right? Yeah. So I guess they were fine knowing that we are instrumentalists and also getting into expressing ourselves with art and everything and design, as long as we're still in school. Yes. Like every African parent, you must be in school.
Always.
You must be in school. So they were fine with it. Yeah, until we decided, no, you know what, we don't want to do what we learned at school.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you get to Zambia?
By bus.
Nice one.
I'm joking. Yeah, I think it was just times and seasons. I think that Dad, of course, had a vision and a time frame for how long we were going to be in boats and then get back. I think it was just time to get back. And 2010 is when I came into the country.
You're a citizen of Zambia, right?
Big time.
They might come for you.
No, like too much. Zambia.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. So now when deciding to go to uni, of course you passed your grade 12 and whatnot.
Yeah.
Then how was that decision to go? Were you told you were supposed to study bioinformatics design?
Yeah.
Or how was that conversation like?
So interesting. I know you're at CBU, you mentioned something like that. I was at CBU also, right? I got to CBU with the intention of doing medicine. I know, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a twist. You know that thing, you're in grade 12 and you know that because you're bright. So they're calling you doc, they're calling you a Dr. Shan. So in your mind is doctor. I can boss this thing. You get to uni and first year just hammers you. It just shows you that there are that there are levels to these things. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. There is when I decided maybe this is not my calling, right? I think because I was already interested in design before getting into school. Yeah. So I got to school to pursue medicine, and I realized, okay, I don't really want to do medicine. I'm interested in computers and all these things. Luckily, by God's grace, I think, this was actually just God's grace, because a program was introduced by informatics at CBU, and it's essentially biology and computer science together. So when I saw that and realized, okay, I've made points for it, I signed up for it and got into it. And it's been interesting. It was hard, of course, explaining it to my parents because they're like, bioinformatics, what's that?
Because I'm also like confused.
But just think of the sciences, right? Your biologies, microbiology, biotechnology, and computer science now, like coming together, combined. Yes, that's really it. And learned that. I didn't really love it because courses were hard, man. Like, I can't lie. There was math, there was programming, there was gunning stuff. My heart was with design, but you know, I have to make my parents proud, man. I have to get a degree.
You have to get the degree.
So in my mind, I was like, okay, let's get this degree, show it to the folks, and then maybe they'll let me pursue what I want.
Okay.
So that was bioinformatics.
And so, how is the conversation today? And where you are today?
Right. Because it's totally off, right? Like what I studied and what I'm doing now is completely off. But I thank God that I have parents that are understanding. I think for them it was more, or even right now, it's more, am I okay? Right? Am I living life to the fullest? And I think that's what a lot of people don't get. Like, your parents are speaking from a place of love when they're sending you to do, or when they're suggesting certain courses and certain things for you. It's a place of love. It's not, sometimes it's not them imposing stuff, but they've seen the world and they are advising you to do particular things. But I think right now, like, I'm doing fine. Like, I don't, they can tell that, okay, he's fine, he's okay, he knows what he's doing. So let's encourage him and support. And they've been very supportive.
Oh, cool. So are you using your degree in any way?
I'm not using my degree in the way it's supposed to be used, but I did a few courses that I think have helped me with my design journey. I did web design, I did software engineering, I did computer programming. I did a course, though this is not directly related. It was called computer graphics. And you might think Photoshop, right? Because the first time they said, you'll be taking computer graphics, I thought, Photoshop. This will be easy for me. But no, it's actually more interesting. It's the mathematical computations that go behind softwares like Photoshop. So so like I said, a lot of programming was involved in the course. So how do we program Photoshop to select this particular pixel and make sure out of all the pixels on the screen, only this one lights up? So the mathematics that goes behind that was computer graphics. So it was, I think for me, that was one of my favorite courses. So, so I'm not using my degree directly like that, but it blends it.
But of course it does also like contributed maybe to your thought process, the way you do certain things. So we can't say it's like we just disregarded, never contributed anything. True. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it was, because CBU, you've been to CBU, man. Like, that place is hell.
Gosh.
I can't lie. So at some point I was juggling 9, 10 courses at the same time. And the way I handled that, I apply the same thing to my processes now. I mean, of course, being creative director, I'm overseeing so many things and so many moving parts and members of my team that sometimes are just strange and do their own stuff. And, I have to. So juggling all those things, I think my time at CBU and doing all those was kind of training. So right now, it's easy to kind of plan and follow through and do a few things. So
like handling that pressure.
Yes, handling that pressure.
You have to, from one course to another, you have to change your mindset.
Exactly.
What am I supposed to do here?
What does this course need? Now it's like, what does this brand need? Okay, are we delivering this on this brand? Okay, cool. Are we checking this? Okay,
Okay, so now, so I think even like just from the beginning, you've highlighted how playing video games, all those, I believe, are the things that contributed to you having passion for the creative field, photography, videography,
big time,
brand strategy, and all that.
Cool. They did.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that. I don't know what year that was, if it's 2021 or
2021.
I think you. So there was this competition for Africa Must Think Design competition. And then you scored first position. How did it feel? Tell me the feeling.
I mean, like I like to think 2020 into 2021 was kind of my breakout year into like professional design. And I think late 2020, I joined a few groups for designers, even on WhatsApp. I joined a few, and I found a lot of designers, man. I think industry standard designers, like designer that were designing for big brands, and yeah. And I loved that at first, but then when I also realized a few of them weren't very, how can I put it? The not criticisms, but the feedback they were giving younger designers wasn't as encouraging. You know what I mean? Yeah, I received some feedback that wasn't
broke you.
That just like shattered me. You know, when you create a piece of artwork and you're like, I'm going to show. Yeah, I thought I was the thing. Like, I thought I've created this piece of artwork, threw it in that group, and it was ripped to shreds. Yeah, that was 2020. 2021, when Africa Must Think competition was, announced, I knew that all those designers would take part. At least I knew 90% of them would take part because it was the first of its kind. And initially, I didn't want to participate because of that feedback that I'd given. I kind of felt, maybe I'm not really good enough.
Okay.
Yes. And I have a very good friend of mine, Tuafula. We were in the same boarding house. And in the same boarding room. He was on me. Guy, you have to participate. I said, no, man, I can't. You have to participate. Until deadline day, they announced it. Okay. Submissions have closed. And then he was like, guy, like they're announcing they're closed. Like, okay, just do something. And he encouraged me to. I remember I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew people would use the African map. I knew people would use different ways to show Africa. Yeah. But I was like, how can I make it different? How can I make it stand out? So I worked almost the whole night to just get the thing the way I wanted it to look. Sent the poster. I don't know if it was to Mr. Bimsani himself or maybe his PA. Yeah, and I said, and I'm sorry that my submission is late. And at that time, they had already started posting the entries. Yes. So I said, I'm sorry that my submission is late, but this is what I've done. Yeah, and the following day, it was posted as, okay, guys, this was a late submission. I can't forget, rather, contestant number 70. That was my number. So the last one, yeah. And then now, like, when I saw my work, I was like, okay, looking back at it now, there are things I would have done way better. I mean, this is like, 3-4 years later, the things that I think I would have done way better. But in that moment, I'm like, I've seen what everybody else has done. No, you're not. Unless say it's rigged, but you're not beating this one. And then, because it was likes, it was based on likes. So now we had to start salvaging for likes, right? Because already other posters had gotten 1.5K already, and you are starting on 5, right? So that pushing was fun. Because if still with Tuafula, there's a way we kind of marketed my poster. So we'd post some videos alongside it, maybe like a race car overtaking other cars to kind of show like guys were building momentum. And I mean, we won. It was it was exciting for me. It was more looking at it now, like I was young, right? The contest and me entering at that time was like, okay, you guys thought I don't know how to design, but let me show you that I actually know my tools. That was the primary driving force back then, which in a way was good or not. Like it, for me, criticism does fuel me. But right now, maybe not. It wasn't a very good approach. But we won, and on merit, I think the poster was good, and also I put in a lot of hard work, especially on the bulb. Like
the bulb.
That stressed me to get it exactly like that. It stressed me, and I think it did work. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I think I like that. At some point, you're being criticized by your work, and then you felt bad about it. And then when that competition came, I'm sure you're just like, damn, you just told me that I can't do this. Let me show you.
And then I won. Then I'm like,
yeah.
ta-da! Now you see.
Yeah, now you see. Yeah, like I said, like your designs are very clean, and even that work that you did was like very clean.
Yeah.
Like it seemed effortless. Like you didn't put in so much work, which I know you did. As a designer, I understand that. You're putting a lot of work. So that was really encouraging, and I think that's when most people now knew about Aggrey. I'm sure you received a lot of attention.
I did. And it's interesting you talked about criticisms, because even like how I started Photoshop, like back at school, I overheard a few friends talking about it, and I asked for the design software. They were like, no, it's hard, it's complicated, you can't use it. And I'm like, and that was grade 12, right? And then anyway, I was like, okay, please bring it, so that I installed it on my dad's laptop. It never came. Grade 12 finished, I went to work at an internet cafe, and then there I found I couldn't find where to download Photoshop for free. Because back then, like, we didn't know much about it. So I googled Photoshop alternatives, and it gave me GIMP. I don't know if you know this.
GIMP, I know that.
That's where I started learning GIMP.
Oh, really?
Design from. So layer masks and brushes and everything I learned from GIMP. Primarily I used it to impress a girl. I don't know. Man. So I would like design her name and put it on a shirt and stuff like that. Things we do for love, guy. She's my wife now.
She's my wife now. I guess it worked. That's a good one. I guess it worked.
It worked. So tips, guys, those single guys are learning Photoshop, just impressed them. But I don't think it was my design skills that impressed her. But anyway, we're talking about design now. Then like you mentioned, the whole thought process on the Africa Must Think, and the attention that I received, it was a lot. Even working with Mr. Dimsani and the team it was big for me, because it was the first conference that they were having. So seeing my work everywhere and seeing my work on across social media, on print and stuff like that, and it was huge. I think after that is when I want to say the design world started taking me seriously. And I think I also started believing in myself more, because I'm like, okay, I can actually produce quality work. And after that, of course, few clients came in because of that. So it was good. It was a stepping stone. It was a good benchmark.
Yeah, I like that you say that. You know, when people, like, when you see somebody like maybe a public figure, we think that they're always like this motivated, like, no, I know what I'm doing, everything I can do, right?
There've been moments, man. There've been moments that you're like, imposter syndrome.
That word.
You owe me a Sprite. Imposter syndrome is real. It's
really real. So when people see your work, they're just like, this guy knows what he does, but behind the scenes, they're just like, you went through a lot of thinking. And even now, like, you're even still criticizing your work. It's just like,
even now.
In that start, you just said, even now, when I look at that design, I feel like I could have done this better. So like,
definitely. Like, that background is too busy. I would have changed that. The way I rubbed them off, I wouldn't have done that now.
It's a learning process.
It's growth.
I guess the lesson is, it doesn't have to be perfect. Put it out there. Don't wait for it to be perfect.
Yeah, man. Like, one of the things one of my mentors told me back in school, he said, start early, be consistent, and finish strong. So whatever you do, start. Like, whatever you want to do, just start, right? As you begin, you start growing. Then be consistent at it. So your quality must be consistent. Your excellence must be consistent. And if it's a project, start the project, be consistent with it, then finish strong. Like, end on a strong note. And I've carried that with me going. So just begin. Those who think your work is not good enough to post, Like share it. Yeah, we will give you pointers. We'll give you pointers and say, but why did you use that font? But use that to develop. I remember when I made the post announcing that I won graphic designer of the year, my post was use the negatives to develop. And so use in photography, right? Long time ago, we used to use those films. And we use those negative images to develop the final thing that we actually give to people. So even you, whatever it is that's happening in your life, even in the design space, those negative stuff that you're getting, right? Use those to develop and just bring out the best. That's what I've also learned. It's really important. Don't wait for... Because if you keep it again, it will... No one is going... you won't know where the mistakes are. And you won't be able to grow. You guys have received a lot of criticism. I know your team is behind the camera. So you have faced a lot of online criticism and you've had agency battles. So how do you handle such pressure? You guys have made a lot of noise. And I'm making more noise. So I have this thing with my team. It actually goes around the office. We say pressure is for tires, right? Pressure is for tires. Yes, pressure is for tires. Your car, that tire is what needs pressure. Pressure for us is bred. You get what I mean? Like we are built to take it. We faced that. Last year was interesting for us. Let me say that. For my team especially. I think every designer, every team has like very important periods in their lives, very pivotal. And for us, last year was like that. We realized last year that not so many people like us. I think, and that was very strong. It came out very strong. I mean, in the comments, in the posts, and all that. And for us, we thought people liked us, liked what we do. But we have a number of people that do, actually. Number of people that like us and are for the vision and what we're trying to do. But we also have those that are not very, So, like, now, where do you think the hate is coming most from? Is it, like, from other designers or people in the creative space? Or is it also, like, from even other people that are not even do design or are in the creative field? What do you think the biggest hate comes from? And it's hard to pinpoint, right? Because you kind of see it in waves and phases, right? You kind of see it when you put up an artwork, and then there's but why isn't it what? Why isn't it what? Why isn't it what? And you're like, but that's not merited. I remember in one of the artworks, somebody asked. This was funny. Father Christmas was chilling, and somebody said, it's not relatable because, like, Santa Claus is not in Zambia. I'm like, but you dress up in Father Christmas hats during Christmas, and what do you mean that's not relatable? So sometimes you find as though it seems like people are nitpicking, and I can't pinpoint if it's coming from designers and from a place of them just wanting to educate and help us grow, or just people who have a problem with me. You know what I mean, right? Or a problem with a member of my team, or just a problem in general. So it's hard to pinpoint that, but it's evident. And also, I mean, like, look, you're not Jesus and you're not money. And this is one thing I told my team. So you're not Jesus and you're not money. No, not everyone will like you, right? In fact, even Jesus wasn't liked. You're not money. Everybody loves money. Yes, but as long as you're not money, you expect a lot of negativity. And that was, I mean, we experienced a lot of that last year. And I know you termed it as agency battles.
Because there was that one as well. Like, there was one which was like,
that one was the most interesting one. I think for us, it caught us at the right time. The right time, I mean, we had a lot going on in with the agency. But then you've worked with agencies before. Like, agency work can get very, very mundane. It can get very boring because you have a set rules of how to operate and what needs to be delivered and what. Yeah, and then when that challenge came, it wasn't even like agency versus agencies. It was some guys in the department versus some people. You get what I mean, right? So for us, that wasn't. We didn't regard it as like the whole agency is taking part in the beef. No, it was just designers who now want time off the hectic work with agency. So we're like, okay, cool. How do we use everything we've learned the past 3 years? I mean, with beautiful industry leaders, how do we use that and apply it to this particular branding project that we've been challenged to do? What have we learned over the years working with big brands that we can apply to this particular thing, right? So what's the problem we're fixing here? And how do we apply it? So for us, that was it. And we approached that very methodical. I mean, if you followed the build-up, right? We were so excited, and we put up some anime-themed anime-themed jobs. And for us, it was all fun and games because we're like, okay, guys, like we need a breather. Because even creatively, you need pockets of inspiration where you're doing what you actually just love, you know. And for us, it's design. We wanted to express ourselves, but over, you know, something that will be and it was actually good that we would have different judges looking at it. To us, we're like, okay, this is great. We are having different people looking at it, different eyes, and wanna see the reception. And yeah, we approached that that brand identity very aggressively. And you know, when it was put out, it had mixed feelings, man.
It had
so many mixed feelings. I mean, from no, it doesn't resonate.
Especially the one for the mermaid.
For the mermaid, somebody asked in the comments, and this is why I'm saying, like, it seemed as though the comments were targeted. Somebody asked in the comment section why the box was not wet. You know, like the box that he was delivering. Why isn't the box wet? And we were like, what? But that mermaid one, because they said no spiritualists and whatnot. People might think it's rituals, because here it's considered to be like witchcraft. And whatnot. It's considered to be witchcraft. I mean, even for the Christmas one that I mentioned, even the other one that was targeted or maybe ill-received was the one for the drone. Like this guy who had propellers and he was delivering mail. And he was moving at such high speed. No, like that's not relatable. Like that's not, can't happen in Z. And look, one thing that I've had as a designer, and even like shared it with my team, and it's spilled to all our designs, is we are not just creating artwork, we're creating conversation pieces. So we are creating things that people should talk about. And because people were talking about our artwork for us, we were like, this is it.
This is good.
Right? And that's what marketing is. Like, look, people should talk about you. Of course, there is negative, positive, but like it's worse when you're not even a subject. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst. So, of course, we came in and tried to explain, to say, look, guys, the artwork and the copy says we can deliver anywhere. So it's actually saying, like, even if it was a mami water or you know, like if you were under the sea, would deliver that to you. If you were on Mars, it would deliver. Like that's the campaign. That's what we were driving at. But it was, bro. It was.
So it's not like saying like in a literal sense. But I think most brands do that as well.
Yeah, a lot of brands. A lot of brands do that because actually, when we were positioning that rebrand for Zampost, right? We looked, because we did case studies on which courier companies, or even just your DHLs, your FedExes, your UPS, how are they actually marketing themselves? And if you do your research, you discover the absurd things that they put as ads to push out their message, to just try and communicate, to say, guy, we are your people for anything you want. And that's where we're positioning. That was our mindset, to say, look, fine, Zambia is a third world country, but Zampost for us connects us to the world. And so how do we put it on that map How do we put it in that category? How do we put it in the category of the DHL, the FedExes? How do we do that? And for us, this was our approach. And we came in with very interesting designs. Your Doctor Strange kind of opening a portal and things like that to kind of communicate that it's that fast, like it's that quick. That guy who was on drones. What was interesting is after we put that out, Domino's Pizza, I don't know if you've heard of them. Yeah, I think a few weeks later they shared a clip of one of their delivery guys delivering pizza using a jetpack that looked similar to that. Yeah, so we're like, guys, like even if you don't, but it was fun. And it was like I said, for us it was also chance to flex our creative muscles and see where I'm sure you saw the motion design that came in, and like it was like that. So it wasn't received very well, especially I think from certain designers that we thought would appreciate or we expected to appreciate it. I mean, of course, we don't downplay a lot of other people that received it very well and who actually caught on to what we're trying to put across. But there are like the other sentiments that came out. I mean, we got called very like strange names. We were called empty teens. We were called I mean, social media is fun. And we were called crybabies, as in Instagram models. Like we were called so many interesting names.
Instagram models.
I know. And for us, it was fun because we're like, hey, sure. Like we've provoked this much talkability, which again is interesting for us because like it's grown, right? The rain. It's okay?
Yeah. I think it's good.
Okay. Alone zone. So we were called those different kinds of names. And for us, like I said, it was fun. We were like, okay, so we've provoked. Like we've struck a nerve, like we've struck a chord. And it's like we're building from here. I mean, it's good that people are talking about us and they're seeing our work. And after the whole thing died out, we were given strange marks that we felt were unfair. But we were not the judges. But we were given those marks, and we realized, I think, just how differently we think from our competition, and just how differently we approach design, and how different we approach anything that's put on our plate. And for me, especially looking at how my team responded to everything that was happening, I was very happy because it didn't break them, it didn't demoralize them, it actually fueled them. And right now, it's interesting that a lot of that hate has died. Like when we put up a few works, a few people who were saying strange things are now like, this is good. And we're like, how? Really? They're like, how are you
switching sides?
How are you switching sides? So it was like that time was defining for my team, for myself also. It was also character development, a lot of things happened. And I guess the icing on the cake for us, after we scored like that, there's an email that we received. So this was a month or two after the whole thing. We received an email from a design competition and awards, and they were looking at our rebrand to be nominated for an award in the design category on a global scale. So that for us was like, then what weren't other people seeing? All right. And for us, that was a win because we said, okay, look, if we've managed now to even capture global attention, it's a step in the right direction. We've done something. Forget my discussion with my team, forget the marks, forget what we were told. We did something right. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been recognized like this. So again, like criticism is fuel. So for us, it urged us on. But the icing on the cake was that nomination. We were like, let's, we're doing something right.
And I could also see like you guys, like your responses to all those things. Like, you would you take it as a joke, or you joke about
Yes,
it,
like
which would even it's like putting fuel on the people that are already mad at you for doing such designs.
Yeah. We for us, there's no beef, there's no hate, right? It's for us, it's fun, right? Like design should be fun. Let's make it fun, and that's our approach. We want to enjoy our work and want to enjoy what we're putting out. You can only do that if you're having fun with it.
Yeah,
and that's been our approach and mindset.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have now even reached audiences that you would never have reached if that noise wasn't there. I'm sure you even received even more clients and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think it was good marketing.
It was. It was.
In a world which is crowded, it's so easy to be in the background and not be recognized.
Yeah.
But with such designs and people are talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, might be negative in some way, but you're getting recognition.
Yeah. It's like I mentioned, it's a conversation piece. Like people are engaging. It was interesting. We got a lot of shares from our work. I mean, the person who was criticizing our work got our poster, shared it on their timeline, and typed out a whole critique, but they were giving us visibility. You go to those comment sections and you find people arguing, no, but they're fine. What they're trying to communicate is A, B, C, D. And others saying, no, they're not. So we loved those, that it sparked conversation for a couple of weeks, and that's marketing.
Yeah,
and
that was a lot of noise, and I was just seeing the background. Okay.
Yeah, we noticed you didn't say anything. We're like the big man is not saying nothing. We're like, where's the pendulum swinging?
Yeah, where's the pendulum swinging? No, I just like to watch and see people battle it out.
But it was
I don't like arguing with people that I don't understand or
true.
Now I'm sitting with you. I'm getting a sense of who you are. What was the intention behind?
Yeah.
Because I think I'm also I must admit, I'm also one of the people that criticize the mermaid thing and whatnot. I must admit that the people that are around me. Of course not online. But sitting with you here, that's why I can't put myself online and comment to say, because I don't fully understand you. But now that I'm sitting with you here, you're able to give me the reason why you did that. So I'm able to understand from your perspective.
And to that point, we've, it's easy. Our gaffer, our CEO, he's a brilliant man. He's very brilliant. He says something. He says it's easy to get Zambians talking. And then these are trade secrets. I won't mention them here, but he told us, if you want Zambians to talk about your work, do A, B, C, D. And it's worked it. It's every time.
Now, how was he looking at that? I'm sure he saw that. How was the conversation?
So he was excited. I mean, of course he's a busy man. So you won't see him on your socials and commenting stuff. But he's always encouraged us to have a lot of creative freedom, to always build networks. And so when we told him, say, Chief, wanna take part in a certain competition, a certain contest, don't worry, it won't affect work. We'll work on work, ABCD, deliver at this time, because that's what we're here for. But we just wanna stretch the creative muscles, wanna just do a few things with the guys and experiment with some of our techniques for motion and design and everything. So he was all for it. He was like, okay, cool, that's fine. You guys he was actually out of the country during that time. So we FaceTimed him. Then he says, okay, guys, have fun. So he looked at our rebrand. At our rebrand, he was excited, because we were like, yeah, Chief, you've taught us a number of things over the years. We've been with you, and this is what we've managed to come up with. This was our campaign messaging. This is how we broke down our approach. This is our process to get into this logo. This is why we chose these colors. This is it was so methodical. And I think for him, he was proud that, okay, look, the boys have grown, right? Because look, joining, we were all freelancers. We had no prior agency experience. So, and it's hard, I don't know how he did it, but to have freelancers who think, we know better, and then bring them on board, and you can kind of shape them into buying into the vision that you have, and then also expanding it, and just demonstrating the capabilities of the agency, and of everything that we've learned from him by observation and even just by interaction. Seeing that play out, I think he was proud. I think I like to think he's proud of us for everything that we do. And that's what that was. And
my question was specific, like during that time. I'm sure I was seeing that. How was that conversation internally?
So then that's what I mean, right? Like this wasn't agency versus agency. So it was literally like just the boys.
You guys that work for this agency.
Yes. Yes. And so so he wasn't involved in anything. And nobody from work actually was involved in everything. They just saw the final output, which was the rebrand and how we executed everything and how we went ham and of course how everything played out. But all those stuff that was happening on the on the other side in the design groups, that was just us. That was just us. Networking. That was just networking online. And also just getting to know people better.
So now, what would you say to the critics who said your designs were out of context or what would you say to them?
They're still there. I think. Even now, we recently dropped another project.
There
were a few people that said, "Oh no, but why?" But like I said, conversation pieces, right? Number one, like is what we've put out, that artwork, is it damaging in any way? Firstly, if the answer is no, okay, what's your biggest problem with it, right? If you tell us what your biggest problem is with it and we address those problems, is it still a big issue? You get what I mean? So I'll give you an example of the same mermaid one, all right? Satanism, ABCD. Yeah, but is it really though? Like, do you think we actually have mermaids in Zambia? That's what I would ask somebody. No, we don't. Yeah, so but why? So why is it offending you? Right?
Yeah.
Do you get the message from the whole artwork? What is it that you received from before people just start attacking? Like, try to understand first what is it that is being communicated, and then after that if you're and look, we're open to learning. Like marketing, design, you're learning every day. You're learning on the job, you're learning every day. There is always, my pastor says something very beautiful and profound. He says, he's told me before, he says, Aggrey, there is always somebody who knows better than you. In everything you do, there's always somebody who knows more than you know. So always be willing to learn. But that doesn't take away the need for dialogue. So if you come and tell me, or if I come and tell you, I don't like this cup, why is it black? Then you explain to me, no, the cup is black, you went for a black one, you couldn't put an orange one because it's got nothing to do with your brand colors. It's black and white, and it marries and ties in. Even if I don't like black and white, but it's purposeful to you and what you're trying to put across, I have to understand that, right? And so critics will always be there. Like, we love it. Please criticize. We are learning from your criticisms also. Like, we understand, okay, yeah, maybe the mermaid was a bit much and people are scared of of Satanism, which is interesting. You're a Christian, why are you scared that someone will come and sit on your chest at 03, right? Before I start preaching. It shouldn't bother you, right? But if your concerns are valid, happy to take them, like extremely so. But also listen from our perspective and say, okay, we did ABCD because of this and this and this. Is that okay? Do you understand that? Yes, but still, okay, let's meet halfway. And also another thing that's big with critics, if you realize, is they are quick at pointing out what's wrong, but very bad at offering solutions. Yeah, which is a bad mindset. Fine, if I think this doesn't blend well with whatever it is you're doing, let me suggest what might, right? And let's have that conversation. So going back, if the mermaid didn't work, what do you think could have had the same impact, but in a more toned down way? If you think Father Christmas didn't resonate, what do you think would have resonated and had the same impact or even better but in a way that you feel could have resonated. Like we are open to that. What we won't stand for is that shouldn't happen. No, they shouldn't have done that. No, they shouldn't have done that. Okay, cool, fine. Then you do it the way you think it should be done. We will do it the way we think it should be done, and let's see the results. Yeah. But like I said, for us, people talked about it. You know what I mean? People talked about it, and it made rounds. Like it was in LinkedIn Spaces, it went everywhere. For us, it was a win. It was like, okay, cool, fine. And we featured on a number of things. Like that's, for us, design should be a conversation piece. Like people should talk about
not forget it.
They should not forget it. Yeah, man.
From all of this criticism and what has been going on, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned?
One of my most valuable lessons is I've learned that I have a team I can depend on. I think many people take it for granted, your workspace and where you are, right? And especially if you are working with a team and leading a team, you need people that can go to war with you, quote unquote. You need people that understand your vision and understand what it is you're trying to do and are willing to ride the wave with you. My most valuable lesson is, like, my team is there. I can depend on my team. That was one. And number two is that they have an unbreakable mindset. You can throw anything at these guys. Like I said, for us, and like you mentioned, online we were fun. We were having fun with it. We were diffusing the whatever was being projected. And I love that mindset, because then I realized it's hard for things to get to these guys. Like, you should have seen in our office, like when we're reading certain comments, we were laughing, we were having a good time, right? The other thing that was a lesson that I got that was very valuable is, like I mentioned, we think differently. And that different approach is what I loved, because we could tell where we are and where everybody else is. We could tell, okay, we approach things differently, and that's great, that's good. And we have this ability to cause people to talk about the designs. Like, for me, that was a takeaway. That was a takeaway for me. Yeah.
This is called Duwit.
Okay.
So here we don't just talk. Here we do. That's why it's called Duwit. So we're going to put some of your knowledge to the test. We're going to do it practically. Okay. So what we're going to do is, first of all, one thing I love about your work is that you like minimalism. Your designs are very clean. Yeah. So to the designers out there who would want to know, like, how you approach that, who would want to learn some tips, so we're going to dive into that.
Perfect.
Right, let's get into it.
Sure.
For the project breakdown, so we're going to go the step-by-step process, like how do you approach designing minimal and clean visuals. Then, of course, we're going to see in Photoshop from one of your designs. So we just break down like your processes, how you put things together, typography and spacing, then common mistakes, like what should designers avoid when creating minimal designs. And then finally, you're just going to give us some tips, like how to your go-to technique for achieving a refined look. So we have this church poster, Night of Praise. So there's a lot. Like, this looks really nice. I have a lot of questions. So before you approach any design, what's your thought process like? Like, you're told to say, okay, we need this. What's your first approach when they say, okay, we want this design for such an event? For example, this poster, A Night of Praise. Firstly, I think maybe like many people, I started with Photoshop. And what I started with in Photoshop was learning everything in Photoshop. So I started with manipulation. I think manipulation is the best way for me to learn the whole design software. Because when you're manipulating, you're doing dodge and burn, you are selecting, you are cutting, so you're doing layer mask. So you're learning so many principles just on one thing. And personally, I love my church, number one, Believers Life Church, and my skill goes to the church first. And I love designing my church poster. So that's mostly what we're going to look at today, because that's even what helped me even in the corporate world. Because corporates, you don't design much, to be honest. The fun is on things like this, because here is where you experiment. So and I take this approach
from church posters to corporate designs, everything. All right. My first approach is a mind map. So the first thing is I do a mind map, right? I'll give you an example of Africa Must Think first, and then maybe that will help people understand, right? So Africa Must Think. Africa must think. So I start here first, right? What comes to mind when I read this as a theme? So the first thing is a map. And this, you just spitball whatever it is that comes to your mind. Yes. The next thing is culture. The next thing here is ideas. Next thing here is like urgency for me. Right? Then these also now start expanding. When I think of culture, I think of patterns. When I think of a map, the first map that comes to my mind is Zambia, right? When I think of ideas, I think of the light bulb, because that signifies ideas. So this was kind of the process I went through with Africa Must Think, and from here I knew I want to use a map of Africa, and I want to use the map of Zambia also. I want to use some patterns to speak into culture, and that this is all African. And I also want to bring this out. So how do I show a light bulb in that aspect? That's how I thought, oh, you know what? I can create the African map out of a light bulb. But how do I infuse Zambia? How people know it's Zambia? I can put Zambia in the light bulb also, in that tungsten that lights up, because then that's where the event is happening from. Yes. So now this is my approach to almost everything. So moving to Night of Praise, right? I did the same thing. And you refine this process. I've refined this process so much, it happens in my head. Unless for really big projects. But it happens in my head. And so already here, this is an overnight. All right? So I need something to depict an overnight. Praise, for me, it's joy, it's music. So overnight, I can't use very bright colors. All right?
Oh, wow.
Yes. No bright colors.
Because it's at nighttime.
It's at nighttime, exactly. Music, I think of instruments. Right? Praise also, when I think of joy, I'm reminded about how David danced, and David for me symbolizes royalty, so my go-to color for this is gold. I don't know if that makes sense, right? So from this, I kind of, and like I said, this happens in my mind now, unless for really big projects, but I kind of now have a basis of how I want my poster to look. I can imagine and picture it. So this is my mind mapping process before I even get to design. So from that, right, from that mind map, like remember I talked about the color gold, I talked about the musical instrument, I talked about not using bright colors, but of course there has to be some interesting element to your design. One of the things that I emphasize a lot, even with my design team, is functionality first, then aesthetics later. What that means is let's make sure the design is communicating what it should communicate before you start making it look pretty. One of the problems I've seen with a lot of young designers is they want to make the design look so pretty, but it's not saying anything. You get what I mean? It's like literally not saying anything. It's not serving any purpose. So functionality first. What's the design saying? Then now, how do we make this message pretty? Right? So a breakdown. Here you see all the elements that are used in the mind map. So from the how dark the colors are, they're still interesting to look at, and also not very overbearing. I needed, the first thing somebody looks at is the theme, which is Night of Praise, or the title of the
so
meeting.
hierarchy, right?
So hierarchy was very important for me. The color gold came in, but when you're studying color theory, you kind of understand what works well with which colors, especially if you've been doing it for a while. But one thing that's very interesting that I do is I always pick colors, especially if my subject has colors that I think blend well. I always pick colors from what they're wearing. Yes.
Okay.
That's where I start.
So the blue in this case.
So the blue in this case came from the suit, right? And the burgundy came from the tie. The white came from his white shirt. Now I then play with those intensities. A lot of problems I've seen with some designs is that the subject is wearing colors that are totally off, and the background is like those colors don't blend. So you look at it, you're like, this is a great piece of artwork, but what's wrong? You don't know what it is, but you can tell that there's something yeah. So that there's something off. So that's one big thing. So hierarchy, like you mentioned, read the impact title first. What type of meeting is it? It's an overnight venue. Yeah. So when you look at a design like this, you're interested to kind of read everything. That's there. Yeah. So that's the approach. And of course, fonts, right?
Yeah, fonts.
Yeah, fonts.
Choices.
Yeah, font choices. Like, this one, I don't think there's a shortcut. You just have to spend time looking for the right font. And I do that a lot. But I also preempt. So for instance, my team will tell you that sometimes I'll be maybe even half the day, I'm not really working on anything. I'm just going through fonts. Yes. And these are not fonts I'm using for a particular project. But I'm kind of thinking, there might be a project that will need this kind of font. So I'll be saving fonts. And I have a font library. So whenever
big.
It's huge. Whenever something comes up, I know where to go. I know, okay, I had a font that I kept. Yeah, so that kills a lot of my time. Yeah. Then I have go-to fonts. I mean, like, people have favorite fonts. I do too. Like Helvetica now. I'm in the Helvetica season. But how do I make it so that it doesn't look like my designs are the same on everything, right? That's where you introduce colors. That's where you introduce different font weights. That's where you introduce things like these. Like this, to be honest, like you can ask me what it is. I don't even know, but it just looked good to put because I felt there was too much space this side.
Oh yeah. So to balance it up. I put that. And like, I first started with a burgundy color because of his tie, but then worked with your blending modes so that it blends well with everything. With everything that's going on.
Yeah, and pretty much it. We talked about instruments. Right now also, Amos and I are in this saxophone season, so we love saxophones, and so I had to have the saxophone there. It adds an element of depth and interest to the artwork, and also communicates sound, communicates praise, it communicates melody, it communicates expression. That's what this entire piece communicates.
Nice.
And it looks simple. But there's a lot of
things going on. But again, talking of minimalism, of course you've put, like, I can see that, like, there's a choir here, people singing, and then there's also these instruments, and this slide here. So this is not like stealing attention. So now I want you to walk me through the process of making sure that you have put a lot of elements here, but they're not screaming, or they're not too loud, or too overcrowded. So what is that process like? Because many designers put everything there, and then everything is just popping, everything is fighting for attention.
True. One of the things that I wanted to put across, of course, that it's an overnight, it's praise. So this is more like a concert, right? And that just communicates what the place is going to be like, right? That it will be a crowd, there will be a lot of praise, there will be a lot of singing. This was my base. This is where I started. And one of the things that people should use and designers should use is your blurs, your opacities, because you want to create depth, right? So there are things that you want to pop out more than other things. So what is it that you want people to see first on impact? And everything else that you don't want people to see, but you want to be in the background is blurred out, or your opacity is reduced, just so that it's not overbearing. Also, you mentioned these lights, right? These lights come with the background. If I wanted, I would have removed them but I kept them there for intrigue and also atmosphere and mystery. So what I knew I shouldn't do is put anything here, because if I place anything here, then it will be busy.
Yeah, it will become more.
It will become busy and overbearing. So hierarchy again. What is it that you want people to see first? Have that your primary focus. Have that screaming at you. Then everything else, use opacity and your blur radius, Gaussian blur, or field blur, whatever it is, but that we can still see it's in the background, but it's not, it's not overpowering. Like this setup that we have here, there's stuff in the background, but people are focused on us because that's not in focus. That's not in focus.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's exactly that. Approach your designs that way. I think that's it for the most part.
Yeah, so what do you think are some of the mistakes young designers make when it comes to creating minimal designs?
Okay.
Because I find people want to put everything on there.
Yeah.
And it's all over the place.
Yeah. There's a tendency of, like when you've been given the opportunity to preach, right? You want to say everything, every revelation you've ever had. Yeah, I think some designers want to do that on their artworks. So the first thing, like I think I mentioned earlier, is functionality first, then aesthetics later. So functionality is what message am I trying to put across? Let's hammer down that first, and then we explore how we can make it appealing and beautiful. One common mistakes designers make is they rush to showing us how brilliant they can use the design software. Like, honestly, your clients don't care like how good you are at Photoshop or Illustrator. What they care about is, I've asked for this, have you given it to me? These are, if it's a series of designs, the client just cares about the output. You say, okay, this is the metric I want to get, and I trust that your designs will communicate that. It's your responsibility now to make sure that you understand the goal, you understand what you're trying to communicate, what we're trying to get out, and that pathway now is important. So the first thing is understanding. Do you actually understand the brief? So as a designer, do you actually understand the brief? What is it that you are trying to communicate? I'll give you an example with this, right? And for me, less is always more. So if I can say the most using very few words, then I've made an impact. And it's the same with my design. If I can communicate what I want to communicate with as little elements as possible, then I'm good. Yeah. How I started with this, I would firstly design and put everything, then see what to remove. So if I remove this, does it dilute the meaning? No. If I remove this, does it dilute the meaning? Can my design work without this lens flare? Can it work without this blur? Can it work without this highlight I've put here? Like that's your mindset. So on this particular example, our church was we were in a series of teachings, and the theme was focus. So 3 days of focus was the theme. How do we communicate that, or how do I communicate that to the members of the church in a creative way, right? And this was what I decided to do. So of course, focus, something has to be blurred out, something has to be in view.
Yeah.
That's number one. That's what I wanted to communicate. What do we use to magnify focus? Or what do we use to magnify certain things? It's a magnifying glass. Yes. So that's how this came in. And I wanted it to look very old, because for me, scripture is ancient. Like, yeah. The Bible is from a long time ago, and I want to communicate that. I love that. Yeah, that perception to say what we're dealing with a manuscript that has lived for over how many years? Yeah. Yes. So yeah, came up with this. If you look at the background and you zoom in, you will see the few words, or rather the page is littered with words. And that was kind of signifying you are in life, you're going through many things, many chapters of your life that are being written. But right now, as a member of our church, right now, we are learning on focus. So you must be focused. Yes, you need focus on one particular thing or in a particular area. So that's how this design came up. And I think it was executed well, because it captures the theme, very well, and it illustrates the theme very well. And people didn't have to guess what's going on, right? You can still read the word focus, but the C is more pronounced. Yeah. So it's like, okay, from everything, this is known. Yeah. So that was this.
Nice. I like how simple this is. And yeah, just the concept. It's very simple. A few things going on, but sends a very strong message.
Yeah.
I like this a lot, and it demonstrates the minimalism and just the message itself of focusing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we go to the next design.
Another a great example of minimalistic design that still communicates, right, is this one. I love this because you can tell there's literally a guy devoted in a cave. He's alone, and that's like, for me, that's devotion. Devotion is giving yourself wholly to one particular thing, and I wanted to depict that in a way that somebody will realize and recognize. So my approach for this one is, first, how do I come up with an image? Or if I can't come up with an image, how do I mid-journey an image that gives me exactly what I want? One of the things that I think designers should embrace, I don't know if it's a mistake. Let me just say it is a mistake if you are a designer and you're not embracing AI. Like, you'll be left, right?
If you're not embracing
AI, you'll be left. So embrace AI. Go to whatever AI platform that you use that's available to you now. If you pay for them, even better, because you have a more refined search and a more refined output. So right now, I didn't have time to, look, I can make this in Photoshop, right? But I didn't have time to make it. So I went mid-journey, crafted a prompt, and it gave me exactly what I wanted. The next thing was, how do I place my text? And remember, I talked about having a library of fonts. So I knew where I wanted to get the font from. So I knew where this font was. I got it, and it just synced and married well. Another mistake that a lot of designers make is there is no balance in their artwork. By that, I mean, you need to learn how to use grids. So this distance is the same as this one, right? This distance is the same as this distance on top. There was an invisible line here, and all this is straight and balanced, right? I knew I had included his pastor's name here, and I wanted the kind of the theme of the meeting to also be in there somewhere. So to balance that out, let me have it on this side. Yes, because it would have been overbearing if I had everything here.
It wouldn't have balanced properly.
It wouldn't have balanced properly. This could have also easily sat here so that there's balance here and here. But I wanted, when you read the text devotion, you realize which series it's from. Yes. So that's where this came from. So learn balance. How do you balance your artwork? There's a member of my team, Kels. He's obsessed with balance. Everything he does has grids on it and stuff like that. Like, for me, the grids are invisible. I don't know, maybe it's because I've been designing for a while. Like, I kind of know this is balance, this is not. You get, but that's good practice. Have grids. Yes, whenever you're designing your work.
Okay. And this one.
This one was interesting. One of the things that I wanted to depict here is I wanted an African man to play the role of Daniel, right? Or a dark-skinned person, because many times when biblical characters are displayed, you would find that it's light-skinned people. And not saying that, of course, those particular people have a fair skin, but I wanted my artwork to resonate to the people who will see it, and also make them wonder and think, how was Daniel actually really dark-skinned? For me, I wanted that kind of conversation. Points taken from this that you can apply even to your corporate feel and your corporate work. How to achieve designs that are actually impactful is, who's the target audience? Who's gonna see that poster? Are you targeting mass market? Or people from a certain walk of life? That's what you're going to have in your artwork, right? if you are looking at very posh people, very eloquent people, you do not have so much going on in your artwork, because to them it doesn't scream luxury. It doesn't scream. It doesn't scream like, oh, this is for us. Yeah. But Chintuingi people, Chintuingi people don't get like, like have colors there and everything, right? But even with those, there is an appeal that they have, right? There's an appeal that they have. Another thing with minimalistic designs is have as little things going on as possible. Like I mentioned, it's not everything that should happen. So Daniel, we know he was in the lion's den. So I have lions there, but I didn't want to have 16 lions. Right? If there are 2 lions, you get the gist that okay, this guy was among lions, right? So you don't have to go so overbearing on a particular direction. Just find ways of diffusing that meaning into elements that can communicate that exactly. Another thing, have of course what you want to stand out. You see the image, you're captured. The next thing you read is the text.
Daniel was like a name which is well known, which is relatable. Yes.
So that was that.
Then there's also like focus on, like the light is not just focused on the subjects. The background is also like blurred out of focus. So sometimes like you can also like use even like light intensity in this case.
Exactly.
Just to make sure that whatever is in the background is, people don't focus on it, but they focus where the light is most intense.
Perfect.
No, I like this one. It's a very simple design, and the message here is being conveyed very properly. I like this. Thank you for that. I'm sure, the people that have watched have gotten 1 or 2 things. That was really helpful. It has also helped me understand, like, use blurs a lot. Gaussian blur, make sure you use that a lot. Make sure you use hierarchy. What do you want people to look at first? Second, in that order. What's the message?
First is what are you communicating? Communicate it, and then see how you make your design pretty.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks for that. You have passed the test. So now back to our conversation, just to wrap it up. Yes, thank you for the project breakdown. That's really helpful. I've learned something as well.
Awesome.
Hope other designers out there have learned a thing or two.
Yeah, I hope so.
And now just maybe just wrapping it up with some questions. What do you think up and coming designers should focus on in order to stand out?
That's an interesting one. Focus on creating relevant artwork, relevant with the times. Don't necessarily just focus on what you like and what, like, I just like designing ABCD. You will not be very relevant. Especially Zambia is the market in Zambia is shifting very fast. I mean, one time a dog drowning is trending. The next time there's a cooler box moving around that's trending. You get. So if you, like young and upcoming designers, if you want to get your work out there, focus on what's actually relevant. Another thing is, don't be afraid to put your work out there. Like, don't. Throw it out there, and also be very willing to take criticism and learn and adapt very quickly. Because like with the introduction of AI, AI is the designs AI makes and the designs you make. As a young designer, AI is here. So like you must adapt quickly. Use AI as much as possible, but also infuse your own look and feel, your own touch, your own signature. Follow as many designers that have made it as possible. There are people in this space. I mean, follow Mwaka, right? The things he's done that you don't have to start from scratch. There's a guy who's already gone through all the mistakes and can tell you, oh, you know what? I made this mistake here. You don't make it. So that the things he discovered after 5 years, right? He can tell you the mistakes he made, and you discover, you grow. What he learned in 5 years, you grow in 1 because you're being mentored. So that's very important.
Okay. And now, what is the most underrated skill that you think designers should know?
For me, I think it's mind mapping. Like the exercise we went through. I think that's an underrated skill, because that, I always like to say when a brief is presented to me, I literally have maybe 4 or 5 different ways of approaching it because I've been mind mapping for a while, and it's something that my team has also been in, and it's underrated because as designers are just excited, so you wanna just jump in and just start making things. No, but think about the design first, critically think, and then mind map your way how you're going to navigate this. That kills a lot of time for you. Yeah.
Thank you for those answers. Really helpful. And now it's time for the rapid fire questions. So
I've seen this. I've seen this one. Yeah, let's go. Shoot. Ready.
Yeah. So one word answer or short answer. No long answers. Okay. First question. What's your favorite design software?
Photoshop, hands down.
I knew that one before you said it.
Yeah.
One designer that you look up to?
Zambian or not?
Anyone.
Anywhere. There is this designer, he's called Nemanja Sekulic, I think. He's a YouTuber. Yeah, there's a way he designs his stuff. That's my guy.
What's the design trend that you love?
I don't even know if it's a design trend. It's an art style. It's monochromatic kind of feel. So I was excited when you had, your black and white, because I love that. How do you communicate things just with that? Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
If you weren't a designer, what would you be doing?
That's an interesting question. If I wasn't a designer, what would I be doing? Maybe because of the influence of the Orange Factory, I think I would be an astronaut. I would like to go to Mars and explore the universe. I think I would do that. Yeah.
I like astronauts.
Yeah.
I just like the suit.
The suit, yeah. I think I would I would do that. Yeah. I would be a space traveler.
Space traveler.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, those are the rapid fire questions.
Yeah. And we can't ask you, right? Rapid fire question.
No. It's my show.
That's fine.
No, thank you for that conversation. So any exciting project that you're working on, or you'd rather just keep it in the wraps?
Yes, we have a lot of exciting projects. I mean, for us this year is big. But I can't dive into them right now. Of course, a few teasers will drop maybe in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's some fire stuff.
It's fire stuff.
Yeah, some fire stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can guarantee. If you thought I'm sure they're like this, And if they thought like last year we made noise, I think because we've already started this year, but it's about to intensify. Yeah, like we love it. Yeah.
Okay, so where can people find you?
You mean physically?
No. I don't want people coming to your house. Online, of course.
Online. Okay, so you can find me on Behance, Aggrey Amor, or through the Blink page. I think there is where you kind of follow the creative journey of myself and the team. Yeah, so Blink Marketing on every social media platform.
Aggrey, thank you so much for coming through.
Bro.
This has been a fun conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed this. It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this as well. Just at time, we could go on and on. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be said. Yeah. I hope to have you again on the podcast.
Hopefully so, man. Hopefully so. I mean, it's the first time meeting, and I love this connection. Hopefully, we can also collaborate in a few projects.
Of course.
See what we can come up with.
We'll make some noise out there.
We'll make some noise.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
All right, cheers, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.